Hello friends, yet another special edition of APAC Dialogue. You all know that APAC Dialogue has been created to create a dialogue between a stakeholder. She or he can be a governance leader, a policy maker, a healthcare leader, a startup or innovator. And we are trying to create a dialogue through APAC Dialogue series to an officer's or a governance leader's personal journey as a policy maker or governance leader, also about his or her present work and her vision for general governance spectrum. And for that, today we have a special guest with us. Let me introduce you, Dr. Pallavi Jain Govil, Senior IAS Officer, Principal Secretary, Department of Tribal Welfare and Scheduled Caste Development, Government of Madhya Pradesh. We welcome Dr. Pallavi Jain Govil. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me for this show.
You have an illustrious career as a IAS officer, a 94 batch IAS officer. You have served in various capacities in state government departments, also in Government of India, if I'm not wrong, also in Prime Minister's office once between 2009 and 2014, something like that. And also you have been invited in Nudge Forum recently, Rockefeller Foundation initiative, which is known globally where governance leaders take part. But I will come to a question to you. The first question will be a different question. You have almost completed 26 years of your journey as an IAS officer. When you look back, maybe 26 years back, 30 years back, what inspired Dr. Pallavi Jain Govil to become an IAS officer?
Well, it's a hard question, and I will not answer it the way it would be answered by a prospective UPSC applicant, so nice answers to that. Frankly, 2 or 3 things. One, when I was in college in Delhi University, there was an atmosphere about, peer group, colleagues, students, fellow students studying for the UPSC, and some of my friends, senior friends, cleared it. So that was a big inspiration. Very importantly, I think the biggest inspiration, I would say, my father, who was also in rural development himself. He has his own career in rural development and international organizations, UN, etc. And he felt that this is the one place where the actual culmination of my education, it'll be a meaningful culmination. So that's the second thing. And the third thing I would say is that I had these professors in Delhi School of Economics, notably Professor Kaushik Basu, who went on to become the Chief Economic Advisor of India as well as Chief Economist with the World Bank. And now he's at Cornell. And I also had Professor Jean Drez and a lot of luminary professors like Professor Suresh Tendulkar, etc. They used to talk about the Indian development process, and they taught us, they exposed us to various research and various development questions. And while it was academic focused, but I felt that inspired me, because coming from a cosmopolitan background, I felt that the real work, the satisfaction will lie in working on these development issues. And that, frankly, apart from academics, was my choice, that I will do either academics or I'll work in applied academics, which is in the field of development, social and economic development.
Right. So you mentioned about Professor Kaushik Basu. I have met him once or twice in Calcutta. And I do follow him on Twitter, and kind of tweet he does is very interesting. Always full of fun with a Indian messaging. So we can say in a way that maybe Delhi, the city of Delhi, from your schooling and college days, actually helped you to nurture the dream of becoming an IAS officer, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. I spent my primary and middle education in various countries with accompanying my parents. And over there also, my father's work was about rural development in those developing countries. And so the dinner time conversations were always about development problems and how governments and international aid organizations are approaching it. So that was always, working in my, in my mind, my background. And then this education. So yes, definitely, having been lucky to come into contact with such people who were passionate about the development issues and who thought deeply and with an analytical mind. So I think that analytical mind was really the game changer for me, which made me think that I am also going to approach this as a student of development policy and approach my work with the analytical mind and approach, which I think is really very important towards public administration.
Quite interesting. Analytical mind, very important to become part of public administration. And you have mentioned about your father who worked quite deep in the rural development sector, and now you're also part of tribal welfare and scheduled caste welfare. Somehow it's linked. We can say life has come full circle for you. We'll come to your tribal welfare department part a little bit later in this edition of APAC Dialogue. You have served in various capacities in last 26 years of your career, be it in district level, state level, Government of India ministry level. If I may ask you, one or two incident or one or two initiative which you have taken, maybe as a DM or maybe as a secretary in some of the department, which has changed your life or looking at life differently? Maybe one or two incidents, if you can mention.
Gosh, that's so hard because, the biggest blessing which this service gives us is the opportunity to effect changes in small and big ways. And it's really hard, but if I could, quickly recount 2 or 3 things. When I was posted in Mandla district and I worked on livelihood projects and watershed projects, it was very heartening when I went back. I kept going back, but after 15, 16 years when I visited the district again, I saw this tribal self-help group, which is currently, flourishing, engaged in honey culture. And their honey is being packaged and exported from the district outside. It's being sold in national markets, and it's a booming enterprise. So, and many more such self-help groups which we had started in the years 2000, 2001. After 15, 16 years, and I saw them, and they all, the love and affection that I got for them, because they have done the hard work. All we did was the facilitation. But just to see these rural communities coming together, taking their own futures in their own hands and making something out of it, that is something which, gives you the power to keep going on. And I think I've been very fortunate. I've had the support of my family, unstinting support of my family in whatever I have done. I have had the support of local leaders. Very often in our service, people talk about political interference, but my experience says that they are, once you take them on board, explain what you want to do, how you want to do it, and if they are convinced, they become your biggest support structure. And the people. So India and in Madhya Pradesh, people are very simple. Tribal communities are very, very innocent, if that's the word which I may use. They're very, very simple. And it's an absolute delight. It's a day's job every day, well done. If you feel you've done something to change their lives. The other thing I would like to talk about, this was the livelihood initiative. The other important thing I would like to talk about is the health issues. Again, in my postings in the rural areas, I discovered that tribal communities have a lot of hemoglobinopathies, that is blood disorders. And that is the leading cause of low life expectancy and maternal death, as well as high levels of child mortality and infant mortality. So we initiated a project for sickle cell anemia detection, and today, after again, that went on, and then Government of India also took it up, and I'm very happy to say that now Madhya Pradesh has a very vibrant policy and program to address the health issues which are particular to tribal communities, and that is now picking up steam. And I hope that this will be really impactful in making better our outcomes towards maternal and child health. So the takeaway from these two reminiscences is that whatever is done in the field, that number one makes it a learning experience to feed into policy decisions later. Number two, these ideas should be such which are more institutional in nature rather than short-term initiatives which can, be eyeball grabbing, or these days, as you may say, social media grabbing. But in the long run, what really works is institutional interventions which put in place enabling structures for the communities to progress and prosper. Shovik, your mic is off.
Yeah. So when we talk about that, when you mentioned about these two particular initiatives, you talked about health also, and maybe when you actually was having the healthcare department in government of Madhya Pradesh, does it also help you because you have worked in the grassroots level in districts for the health and socio-economic upliftment of the marginalized section of the society? So when you were actually was part of the health and family welfare department, did it also help you to formulate those kind of policy, keeping in mind the marginalized section of the society and all those things?
Actually,
because you have done some remarkable work in the healthcare department that we all know.
Yeah, thank you. But the field work, the experience we gain as field officers is actually completely invaluable. It is absolutely precious when we come to policy making and program implementation at the state level. So, for instance, I mentioned to you the hemoglobinopathy. There are almost everything we did in the health department was based on our experience from the field level. So if we talk about making our hospitals better, so you go back to your own experience as a SDM, as a collector, when you went through the hospital, what are the problems that you saw? And you assume that those problems may have gone down with the economic progress, but some part of it will still be there. So you tackle it at an institutional level. Just recently, this past March, we decided that all our hospitals across the state, we will ensure that the toilets are sufficient in number one. Number two, for our hospital staff, especially women, because we have a lot of nurses and female and women doctors, we will ensure staff toilets which are well functional, working, clean. We took it up as a big mission, despite COVID having made its entry in the country, that time not in Madhya Pradesh, but in the country. And believe me, the response we got, we made nearly 7,000 toilets in our hospitals. Hospitals were fully functional, cleaned up, repaired. Now, today, it would be helping the patients who are in the hospitals. It would be helping the staff to have clean toilets. If you're talking about pathology, I understood when I worked in tribal districts like Mandla, like Bastar in the undivided Madhya Pradesh. I worked in the Bastar district, 32 blocks, biggest district of the country in those days. You realize the problem of pathology and how hard it is for doctors, for diagnostic services, to get proper diagnostics for the patient to treat them appropriately. So Madhya Pradesh has taken up a very, very challenging project of improving its pathology labs and having state-of-the-art pathology equipment, which will be, in my view, a game changer for the practice of medicine within the district hospitals. So the idea is that whether it is working in health or it is working in livelihoods or education, again, education is a big part of my job now in the tribal welfare and scheduled caste welfare departments. We have to make sure that the changes are again institutionalized and affect all our ground level institutions in a manner which may not be very visible, but it improves the quality of the public interface. So one has to always remember we are working for the public as our principle, and we are only the agents of the public or representatives who public representatives of course are a bigger thing, but we have been put in this job to make the public service delivery better, a better experience for the public at large.
Taking cue from what you have said just now and for last 10-15 minutes, we have touched upon various important aspects of a life of a IAS officer, of a policymaker and her or his motto for public service. At the same time, we are also seeing world over use of digital technology and innovation for better part of governance. And we all know that there's a term called digital social innovation, DSI. It's in thing in Europe and western part of the world, where they're talking about the social upliftment of people by using digital interventions. As you have said, and I'm taking cue from what you have said, that because you have worked in various capacities for socio-economic upliftment of the marginalized section of the society, of tribal communities. And so, what's your opinion as a policymaker with vast experience on governance over the years? How technology and innovation can be leveraged more and more for good governance, keeping in mind the new world order of post-pandemic situation?
Shovik, that's a great question. And I have actually mixed views on the way forward. I'll tell you what. Not mixed, but okay, I'll put it in two sections. One is, what do I feel about technology? I think it's a game changer. My favorite example is the days when we used to stand in front of the railway reservation counter trying to make a railway reservation. And today, my children, for example, don't even know what that means. And the kind of stressful interface that we had at that time, simply because it was such a thing which has been simplified by technology. But then let me tell you, again, the challenge I feel in public sector. In the health department, we did a massive exercise to understand where all does my ambulance service reach? Where all do calls emanate from? Where all can we get signals when we're tracking our ambulances through the GPS? And in Madhya Pradesh, a highly forested state with a lot of dense forest areas, we realized that the penetration of mobile signals and the penetration of 3G is still not there in many areas. And BharatNet also has yet to reach, and that remains a reality for us. So whenever we are taking an intervention, my worry is the possibilities of technology are mind-boggling as we understand, and we're trying to understand, because technology is moving at such a fast pace that it is really, really very hard to keep up. And every day you have an aha moment. Oh, that's possible too. Just before, when we were setting up this interview, we were trying to make me understand how do I get a better streaming experience and how do I switch my camera. Simple things. But these things can actually be quite challenging for someone who is not exposed to technologies. And so how do we enable the equitable reach of technology and equitable uptake of technology and equitable access to devices? That is today a very big challenge for me, especially as a public administrator. If you allow me, I will substantiate it with an example. We are trying to address the problem of schools closed, and how do we reach the lessons to our children in tribal areas. Typically, because the tribal department runs these 22,000 schools in tribal districts, tribal areas, and these are contiguous. They are overlapping with forested areas and tribal communities who are forest dwellers mostly. What we're realizing is that the education department is doing a great job in content development for chapters, etc., for the syllabus, and they are doing the WhatsApp based studies. But the challenge is, how do I make this available at the village level, in the furthest forest village, tribal dominated village, scheduled area village, and the fact that the people over in these villages still don't have smartphones. They would have the small QWERTY key phones, and you cannot learn calculus. A 12th grader in mathematics cannot learn calculus on a QWERTY keyboard, small phone. It's very hard to even learn it on a WhatsApp lesson online session. So what do I do to make this educational content available to these communities? So we developed take home, pull out assignments which we will post, which we will make sure that reaches the villages, delivered in physical, in person, chapter-wise assignments, chapter-wise teaching, simplified passages, etc. And then we collect them and then we mark them. Again, it's, using old technology of teaching pedagogy, because we found that we need to solve this problem of using technology. So it is there, but the enablers have to be fixed. Just yesterday on Teachers' Day, I was invited to another session, and it was an enriching experience. Again, I shared this, that these are all great teachers, people whom I've met in the course of my career, and I was really happy to be a part of their group, congratulating them on Teachers' Day. And they all shared and understood my angst, that how do my children in the tribal areas not get further left behind.
And this has been also a contentious issue regarding this online education, especially in pandemic. And I think you raised a very pertinent point, that we are all talking about technological interventions for a new world order education, reaching out education to everybody. But it's true that a person who's staying in the far off village of a Madhya Pradesh or anywhere in India, if he doesn't have a smartphone access or a tablet access, how he or she can access online education? I think we all have to think on that direction, that how we also ensure that this kind of technological interventions are reaching out to the last mile. We all know digital India and everything is there, but I think also at the same time we also have to think about taking the government service delivery, as we say, to the last mile. And I'm sure the pandemic and the new world order will help us all to move into the right direction of ensuring quality education, reaching out to the all stakeholders, be it in urban population, be it in the rural population, be it to the last mile. Very pertinent point raised by Dr. Pallavi Jain. Now I come to your present work of working for Tribal Welfare Department and Scheduled Caste Department. What are the major thrust areas of your work now, or the priority areas where you want to make an impact?
Shuvik, again, it's not really about my making an impact. It's about the system becoming more efficient and geared up towards better service delivery. So whatever I can do to further that, that can be called an impact, really. But so again, three broad areas which I've already spoken about, which is livelihoods, health, and education. All three are number one priority, but while talking, you have to say it in some order. So all three are huge issues which we have to deal with. So we are currently looking at livelihood promotion avenues. We are talking to various departments, their schemes, and trying to see what has really worked well and how to do that in a much more intensive fashion. Education I spoke to you about. We also run these residential schemes where children from tribal and scheduled caste communities come and live in hostels and attend schools, either government or private. One recent initiative in this area I would like to talk to you about is that we have decided to merge the hostels for scheduled caste children, for scheduled tribe children, for OBC children, for the nomadic tribe children. The idea was that up to now, these hostels have our section of caste, if I can, So it's only scheduled caste children in one hostel, scheduled tribe children in the other hostel, OBC children in the other hostel. When I came to the department, I found this extremely objectionable. I mean, if I can use that word. I said, why should children be segregated by, the type of community they come from? Children should live together. They should have the same access to services. They should be given similar amenities by the government, and we should have amalgamated hostels where all community children, irrespective of their affirmative action entitlement, can live together and learn to be in harmonious living with each other. Because these are the communities, if that happens from their childhood, they will not see any difference amongst themselves as they grow up. So recently, we have issued orders that all the hostels will be now amalgamated. They will be integrated government housing facilities, government hostels for children. And from this session itself, when we're taking admission, in that sense, the pandemic and the hostels being closed was an opportunity for us to get this working. And we will be now making sure that all hostels are mixed up with children. So there are these small, things which one can do. We are getting smart classrooms in all our schools. We have the Eklavya schools, residential schools, which are funded by Government of India, and we have Kanya Shiksha Parisar and all our other tribal schools. We are now converting at least one classroom this year into smart classrooms, where we will try to bridge the digital divide. And we are also putting in place a work plan for the next 5 years. So what are the achievable outcomes in the next 3 years, in the short term, end of this year, 3 years, 5 years, where we attain certain benchmark qualities for our schools and our hostels. And we are able to attain outcomes, especially now with the new digital education and the new education policy. This is also a hugely challenging thing. Health, the department does not have the technological capacity. So we rely on the health department, but we are trying to give them as much support as they want, if it is in terms of finances or access to our schools and colleges, so that we are able to get better health outcomes. And leveraging my knowledge of the health department and the issues of tribal health, I think that is working well. But there's one last point I would like to touch on, which is really very exciting. And knowing that APAC might like to think about and give us some guidance on this. We're also working on the promotion of tribal art and culture, not as a showcase thing, not as something you keep in a museum. Tourists come, have a look, enjoy looking at a dance, or shaking a leg or two with the tribal community in their dance and going away. But we're looking at the power of this livelihood, cultural strength of the community, of this huge art and culture as its own livelihood channel. So what we are doing is that we are developing a virtual platform where tribal artists can come, and instead of people like me yap, the tribal artist comes on, shows their art, shows how they make it, talks about it, and somebody is sitting remotely, like you are sitting where you are sitting in your town, I am sitting in Bhopal. We are able to learn, and the tribal person is able to earn something from this interactive virtual classroom. And that's something in development. But I'm just putting a teaser out over here, because I would ask you all to take a classroom with the tribal community people when they talk about when they teach their art, Gonda art, Bhil art, their language, Korku language, Gondi, Halbi, they teach their dance, they teach their dance steps, and you tell us how to make it better. Imagine the power. Somebody sitting in Dindori or Jhabua is able to go to the Panchayat building, where we will set up a webcam and where we have signal, and they're able to talk about their own culture and teach it to somebody, to a virtual audience anywhere in the world.
I must say, APEC will be very happy to collaborate with your vision and your department for the promotion of tribal art and handicraft and everything. And that's quite a visionary thought we're having, that you want to create a virtual platform actually for the promotion of this tribal people, their art, their culture, so that they can connect with not only within MP but Indian world over. Who might know that somebody who's sitting in a village of Chabua somewhere, he can connect with somebody in Denmark. You never know. And not only that, I think it will also help to market their products, not only domestically but globally. And I can assure you, Apple will be there to collaborate with you and to have something where we can also be happy and proud that we have our share when we're actually trying to transform the lives of tribal community by using virtual platform. We can surely take this forward once we again talk about this. Coming to the last part of this episode, you have been a IAS officer and policymaker with vast experience for the last 26 years or so, and we are now living in a new world order. What is your take on the future of governance in India per se? Um, how things have changed so quickly in the span of weeks and months, and what should be the ideal way? I should not say an ideal way, but what should be the way out for redefining governance ecosystem in India in a post-pandemic world? Your thoughts on that?
Um, so, Shovik, for one, the entire ecosystem becoming more technology enabled is actually very empowering to one to one end. So it really helps us in better planning, and it's almost instant feedback from the field on our results. So leveraging technology to make better public service delivery. Let me give you a small example what we're doing currently, which will help me substantiate my point. So in the tribal welfare department, we give money to the parent teacher associations for various hostels and schools which we run. We also give money to the students for scholarships and living expenses and various fees. Now, all these have been brought into an online platform where the students can come, register themselves. The checking is Aadhaar enabled, and we are able to push the monies to them on the right time, instantly. Get the bank verification that the money has reached them. Get them to give us a feedback if they are getting any problem. Also, we're able to have analytics that if there is a problem somewhere in the expenditure of money, this is where my team needs to go and help them out. This is a technical outage. This is how we are helping. So public service is becoming more and more efficient. So as an economist by training, I would like to say that the efficiency of public expenditure is becoming better. Once upon a time, there were some political statements on how much money gets filched out from what is supposed to reach the public. Technology has been a big help. For my particularly vulnerable tribal groups, we have 3 tribal groups in Madhya Pradesh: the Bhariyas in the Chhindwara and adjoining areas, the Begas in the Dindori, Mandla, Umaria belt, and the Sahariyas in the Murena, Shiopur, Shivpuri belt. These particularly vulnerable tribal groups, we are giving them 1,000 rupees per month as money for like a direct benefit transfer. So they can use this for their household expenses, grain, whatever they want. Now, instantly crediting this money in their accounts, whether it going down to the district and from their district having lags, it's a greatly empowering thing. Being able to talk to them at the panchayat level: has it reached you? Is there any problem? Is the money reaching you on time? Is there any problem of accessing? So the thing is that these are great levels. But now here's the other point. The other thing which I think, I have also been at, jokingly called it the tyranny of technology. One point which I've already touched about is whether it is equitably accessible to all sections. So we have to work very hard now to make sure that technology is an enabler, not a handicap to all sections of society. The second thing is the governance structure itself. So in the tribal department, we are trying to empower, say, our PTAs, the parent teacher associations, in running these schools, in becoming a stakeholder. So the technology should not be such that it becomes more and more centralized in the hands of distant governments. The central government being the most distant form of government, the state government. Rather, we need to move towards empowering local self-government institutions, that they start delivering the public services much more effectively, efficiently with the use of technology, because they are the ones who are immediately responsible and answerable to the public at large, and they live amongst the community. So the panchayat members live amongst the community. So if the community has any issues or any grievances, they can immediately access the local government over there which can speedily address that problem. So I think we have to have a dual structure in which technology is the enabler. At the same time, the nearest form of government to the community is empowered more and more to take the decision in its own hands, to be answerable to the public and give better public services.
Yeah, so in that way, a very important point been raised by you, and I think we should brainstorm on that uh, from now onwards with other policymakers as well. That is, we all know and we all accepted that technology is the game changer, no doubt about it, and we have to leverage technology for digital and social and economical governance, if we say like that. But the very important part which you have mentioned is that equitable access of technology to the marginalized section of the society. I think that's a very important part, and also the nearest point of governance, and they have to be accountable as well. A very important parts, and I think I got a lot of points to brainstorm and read more for public policy and governance for sure. Before I let you go, I'll just ask you one thing about us, APEC network. We believe in the power of connecting, communicating, and changing. Your thoughts on us?
I think it's a wonderful initiative from APEC. And as you said, the vision about changing after having better connections, that is the way of the future. And all the very best to you and your team. More power to you. May you reach and may be game changers and influence policy making, as well as bring the true essence of good journalism to the people.
So thank you so much. And we also believe in the power of highlighting the good part of governance and healthcare education. And we can assure you that we'll continue to do that in our future endeavors as well, creating platforms, bringing communities together to discuss comprehensive discussion on various topics in governance, healthcare, education. And APEC Dialogue is just one of those offerings. We are reaching out to our stakeholders. Thank you so much, Dr. Pallavi Jain Govil, Senior IAS Officer from Government of Madhya Pradesh, for joining us and enlightening us with your vision and wisdom. Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. See you on the other side of APEC Dialogue with another leader from another domain. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Namaskar.